Okay, in this video, I'm going to cover target encounter versus single target debuffs. I am on a dirge currently. I'm going to show two spells. Disheartening Discant has a green background, but regardless, the reason it says it's a target encounter, and that's why it will affect all the mobs inside of that encounter. And Keen of Despair is not a target encounter. It will affect a target. It does noxious, combat mid, and snare damage on a single target. So, in this grouping here, King Zatan, and it has 3 ads. As you can see in the target window, there's no buffs on the King, but if we look at one of his ads, you can see he has some buffs on him, hunker down in this case. Now, when I begin this encounter and the fight starts, my threat list window will list all the mobs, and so the goal of this is to get this target debuff on all the mobs and this single target onto the King. I can do that once the encounter starts by finding the King in my threat list window, clicking on him, and then firing this single target debuff. Or I have an empty macro here, and I can add a step that does target or tar. And I'm just going to put King. I could spell the whole thing out, but actually that's fine. When you click that macro, yep, there's the King. If I untarget, click it again, or use a hotkey, it will get the King. It does that because King Zatan is the only King in this area, so that's why it's finding it. Okay, so again, I'm going to show this, then I'm going to feign death. I am in a standard user interface, and then I'm going to switch to dark UI and show the exact same thing. Okay, so I'm going to start the encounter by casting my target encounter debuff. Okay, and here I'm going to click the King. You can see that it's on there. I'm going to put the single target on the King. There it is. And when I switch back to the other mobs, you can see the single target debuff is not on those mobs. It is only on the King. Yep, there it is. So now I'm going to feign death, disengage the encounter. They leave my target threat list. And, okay, I'm going to stand up. Combat is off. I'm going to load back to my normal dark UI. This will take a few seconds. And as we see in the standard UI, the threat list window is on right now. In dark UI, I have the threat list window set to auto display when combat is engaged. And you'll see that it's going to pop up. Okay, I'm back in to dark UI now. Here is the encounter. Here's the King. Again, no buffs on the King. Look at his ads. There's a buff. There are a lot of things you could do in dark UI, like you can increase the size of the buff icon if it makes it easier to see. Of course, when there's 25 buffs or detriments on them, that makes it very difficult. But at least we can see the same thing. Again, my threat list window is not visible yet, but it will be when I engage. I'm just waiting for a little more health. And I will begin again by casting the encounter debuff first, and then putting the single target onto the King. Again, the macro I made targets the King, and also I will show through the threat list window. Okay, let's see if I may survive this. Starting by debuffing. Okay, I can see that it's on there. I can switch over to the King, put the single target on. There's Despair. Despair is not on the other encounters. And my feign death is used, so I'm going to die this encounter. In fact, I'll speed it up a little bit. And that shows the difference between encounters and the single target. I could explain all that. I want to keep this video short. So that kind of gives you the gist on how to get the right debuff on the correct mob in a mob encounter.